Hey, y'all. It's Tony from Ropes and Wings. We're here for another Tuesday Talks, and we have Angela from Sound Truth LLC with us today. She's going to talk about biofield tuning. And of course, we got Heather from Quantum Healing Within and Kaz from Journeying Soul Therapy.
Hello, hello. Welcome,
Hi, everyone.
Angela.
Hello, hello.
Glad to have you.
Thanks.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Perfect.
Everyone's good. We've got Edie and AA Amari in the chat.
I'm checking to make sure we are live. Anybody see us yet?
My live button didn't come up yet.
Oh, did we mess up again?
No, it's there. I mean, I think we're live. I think we're live.
We are. Let's see.
Tell us if we're live in the chat, folks.
Yeah. Edie, do you see us?
She says, welcome, Angela. So I think so.
We're there.
Hey.
I'm going to keep checking.
Okay, I clicked the button.
Let's do a little dance.
Every time. Oh, now it says page is unresponsive.
Technical issues, right?
Yeah, it's heavy.
It's weird.
Okay. Yeah, we're good now. We're here. We've been here, I think.
Okay.
Say in the chat if everybody heard my introduction.
Oh, I see us now. Okay, we're there. We're good.
How long have we been there for, though?
We've been there for the last 10 minutes.
Have we?
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
It would be fun if we didn't have these sort of mess ups, right? We wouldn't be us, would we?
The day we get it right, I think we should stop doing it.
We should stop doing it when we get it right. Well, let me go through just in case I wasn't on. I'll give the introduction again.
Start over.
So we're here for our October Tuesday Talks. October Tuesday Talks. We have Angela with us from Sound Truth LLC. And of course, we got Heather from Quantum Healing Within, and we have Kaz from Journeying Soul Therapy. And we're going to talk about biofield tuning today, amongst other things. Like always, Angela is a practitioner for biofield tuning. And I think I'm going to hand it over to Angela, and she can tell us a bit about herself.
All right. Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Angela Weisman, and I live in the Cincinnati, Ohio area in the United States. And I am a certified biofield tuning practitioner. And I would like to tell you a little bit about biofield tuning. But before I tell you about it, I want to tell you about, why do you care? Why do you care? Because quite frankly, unless you care, then you don't need to know. Biofield tuning is really, basically we use tuning forks. This is a tuning fork and this is a tuning fork. And we use these around the body and on the body. And it helps people deeply relax, lessen stress, give you a renewed sense of lightheartedness and well-being, helps you to quiet your inner critic, and it helps you to restore clarity and inner peace. And there are other anecdotal things that people have experienced, like they have gotten less in pain and less anxiety. It's really good to help that adrenal stress or digestive issues, menstrual issues, depression, fibromyalgia, addiction, fear or phobias, panic attacks, vertigo, PTSD, migraine headaches, restless leg syndrome, and any kind of stuckness. What we do not do is entity removal. And that's why I'm here talking to these guys, because that's what they specialize in. So it's pretty awesome. So do you want me to just kind of describe biofield tuning a little bit? Would that be okay?
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So just going to talk you guys through. So what is biofield tuning? So basically, biofield tuning refers to our body's the human biofield refers to our electrical system in its entirety, both the electrical current that runs through our bodies and the magnetic field that surrounds it. And so the human biofield is shaped like a torus, and that's basically like we're standing in the middle of a great big donut. And it holds the record of all of our memories that are embedded as energy and standing waves. And so similar to tree rings, The record of our early years moves outward away from the body as we age. And there's this dual layer boundary at the outer edge. And these two layers represent the time of conception and birth. And as we work toward the body, we get closer to present day. So emotionally charged or difficult life experiences can result in little pieces of our light getting trapped, like a tangle in the energetic field. And this interrupts the divinely created nature of you as a healthy and whole. And these tangles can manifest in the body as stress, anxiety, physical pain, PTSD, and disease, and more. So this is actually taken from a pranic healing book. This is an artist's depiction of what these different energies might look like in the field. So what does this have to do with tuning forks? So the vibrations and tones of the tuning fork remind your body of its naturally tuned state to release the energetic tangles and take out the emotional charge of past events. And how that works is just like when you cut your finger, if you leave it alone and keep it clean, it can heal itself. These tuning forks they have this coherent tone, and it reminds the body like, oh, hey, look, I'm out of tune. Maybe I should get myself back in tune. That's kind of the premise behind Biofield Tuning. And also what's nice about this is because it's just a tuning fork, there's no ego. It can bypass the resistance of the human ego and all the powerful belief systems that we have with our ego. And so this is not all woo-woo. As far back as 1988, Dr. Richard Gerber published his book, Vibrational Medicine, which has been a landmark work as it bridges the gap between science and esoteric healing. So that book cites hundreds of scientific studies that support the energy model of health and healing. And it also demonstrates the power of our body's own self-healing systems to do the work. So this April 2023, Shamini Jain, the founder of Biofield Tuning, is Eileen McCusick, and several of their colleagues published a first-of-its-kind scientific paper in a peer-reviewed journal, which shows clinically significant reductions in anxiety levels in response to a remote biofield tuning session. So you're probably saying, okay, I'm in. So what would I expect if I were doing a session? So most people find it to be pretty relaxing. Basically, I showed you the tuning forks. We use these tuning forks on or around the body, and you lie comfortably on a massage table, fully clothed with your shoes off, or if it's a remote session, you can either sit in a chair or lay down, anywhere you can be alone and free from interruptions. And so the first thing we do is we focus on, there are these two energy centers or chakras that reside above and below the body. The one below your feet is called the Earth Star, and a lot of times because of life stressors, it can kind of crunch up near your ankles or your feet, and ideally it would like to be about 8 to 10 inches below your feet. And the same thing for the Sun Star, that can also contract closer to the body. So we adjust those and try to get those more expanded for the body. And then after we do that, we use the pendulum, and I just check each one of these energy centers or chakras to see where are we going to work today. And one will usually stand out, maybe multiple, and we take the one that's on the lower portion of the body if there's multiple, and it'll either be the left side or the right side. And then what we do is we work from the outer edge of the biofield and slowly work our way in along the plane of the body to basically identify and help remove any of these energetic tangles that are ready to be released. And so as I'm slowly moving inward, I'm looking for any initial resistance in the field, and basically just kind of hanging out with a tuning fork anywhere I find resistance. And this is like what it looks like. It's a slow-mo, so you can really see the tuning fork vibrating. That's what a tuning fork, kind of how it vibrates. What I'm striking it against is a hockey puck. And I would just kind of work towards your body using these tuning forks. So during a session, we're going to work together to correct patterns of disharmony in the subtle energy field. And you can choose how little or how much conversation you want to have. You can go inward and really focus on your breath and staying in your body by breathing and intentionally paying attention to like, what's going on with myself? Am I feeling any tension anywhere? Are there any memories that are coming up? And if I feel or sense anything, I would share it. Sometimes I feel heat or emotions or sense or all manner of things. And you may feel something too, or you may feel nothing at all. So this is Eileen McCusick. She is the Biofield Tuning founder, and she basically considers herself a scientist. And she was somewhat of an unwilling at the beginning. I mean, she was trying to help solve her own problems and kind of came upon this by accident. And she is an entrepreneur, and she also she was a massage therapist, and then she got these tuning forks via the mail to try to help solve her problem. And she started playing around with them with her clients. And then people started coming to her, not just for the massages, but then more and more people started coming to her and saying, hey, my friend told me that you could help me. So this is how this has kind of evolved and grown. She's actually mapped out all kinds of areas of the body. This is her map. And basically, for example, you'll see that little orange dot just around where the belly button is. That's called your second or your sacral chakra. And on the right-hand side, it deals with guilt and shame. And on the left-hand side, it's frustration and disappointment. And for example, if you're having any problems with the challenges with attachments and letting go, that is located in the left knee. So basically what you need to do when you're in a session is remain curious, be mindful with your breath, and just being aware of your body. And as I work in toward the body, I would eventually drop any of the energy that's released in the field to the center line of your body and chakras. And chakras, if you haven't heard of that, those are like little energy centers that are placed throughout your body in this center line, as you can see along the spine. So one of the reasons I love Biofield Tuning is it absolutely helps you get to a point where you're able to respond to life rather than react. So I hope that helps describe a little bit about what Biofield Tuning is. I'm going to stop sharing the screen.
Ooh. Thank you. That was a lovely presentation. Thank you.
Thanks. Beautiful. Yeah. So I can have you here, like there are two different kinds of weighted, two kinds of forks. This is called a weighted tuning fork. And it's weighted because of these little round pieces that are right here. And then this is an unweighted. The weighted are nice because it creates this lower vibration that you can feel on the body. This is an extra attachment. But if I were to place this on your body, you would actually be able to feel it kind of vibrating. And this one, you wouldn't feel it vibrating so much. You can hear it though. And is it okay if I play this?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So let's just say somebody comes with depression, Eileen would tell you that she doesn't believe depression is a chemical problem. She believes it's just like it's a frequency problem. Maybe there's too many highs or too many lows. And the tuning fork helps the body to kind of pull out of those low lows and kind of retune itself to kind of more that middle state. Or maybe somebody who's a little bit manic, they're way up here, or like anxiety, that can help them to kind of also pull themselves into the middle. So it kind of helps tease out these high and low points, and then instead of these wild pendulum swings, kind of get you into more of a center balance. And I also do a different type of sound work with tuning forks. It's called Soma Energetics, and that's how I met Tony. So Soma Energetics was created by two guys, mainly David Hulse, and they currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina, he and his partner. And it's based on the solfeggio frequencies, which is, I know, what Tony uses. And do you all use them as well?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Yeah. I met Tony because he shared some of his work on this annual sharing event called Soma Share. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. But these are the Soma forks. They're very, very unique because they've got them all the different colors. And each one corresponds to the different energy centers or chakras. So that's pretty cool. And so I saw Tony on Soma Share, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. I need to do that. And then, of course, I didn't. And then I saw him being interviewed by JCK, who I love. And I found the tuning forks originally because of JC, because she was interviewing David Hulse. And I was like mesmerized. I was like, I've got to do that. So when I saw that, that's when I scheduled an appointment with Tony, that interview. So I think we've had 3 sessions together. Yeah. So it's been pretty awesome.
Nice. What's your experience been in your sessions?
So it's been pretty wild. People generally, almost always, they say it's like getting an energetic massage. Instead of their body being massaged, they kind of walk away feeling just a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter. And then I have like a lot of weird stuff that happens. I got a lot of weird stuff that happens. For example, well, I'll tell you a really good thing that happened. So there's this guy who he's had some traumatic brain injuries, and he does some light industrial work. But the one thing that he struggled with was if there was any kind of new noise in his environment, that he would like dive under the table. He would be so wound up and so high strung, and it was causing a problem for him to kind of this continuity of his day and kind of never really sure. But now he's received several tuning sessions, and he's still a little wound up, but he doesn't like do that dive under the table. So that's been probably the most dramatic
amazing
thing that's happened. Another one that's happened is, first of all, I'm not a healer. Everybody heals themselves. I just stand witness and give the body the chance to kind of heal itself. And one time I was working on this lady, and I was on the outer edge of her field, maybe age 2 or so. And all of a sudden, and sometimes awkward stuff happens like this. I was like, wow, she was the most unbelievably beautiful child. So beautiful. And I was like, wow, she was just angelic. And she would just, everywhere she went, people would just stop and be mesmerized by her beauty. But the problem was her mother was an absolute narcissist and couldn't handle that her daughter was taking the attention away from her. But she kind of put that in the back of her mind. And I was like, and I didn't know this lady. I didn't know anything about her, but I picked this up in her field, and I was like, oh my gosh, you were so beautiful. It was the worst thing ever. And then she just started bawling and crying because she was like, yeah, it was. And she said, I thought I had gotten over that, and I didn't even realize how much that was still bothering her. And she herself does like Reiki and sound work, and she couldn't figure out how she wasn't moving forward in her work. And then after our session, her career has just blossomed. Because she didn't realize she didn't want to be the center of attention because of how much pain and grief it caused her as a toddler. So that was pretty wild.
When you pick that up, that information, when that comes through, how does that come through for you? Are you just tuning in?
Yeah. So I'm not really doing anything. Before I did this, I've taken a few years of mediumship classes. And didn't want to pursue that because I know that's very serious work, and you're dealing with people's pain and loss and grief. And I was like, that's like really too heavy for me, and I don't want to get that wrong. I didn't feel confident. But I think all that training is what's helped me. Yeah. I get it. Sometimes I smell things. Sometimes I just have like downloads into my mind, or I get an emotion or heat or cold, or a lot of it's just like kind of a knowing, like with the lady who was so beautiful as a child. She's a beautiful adult. She's a wonderful person. But I just like, it's just like all of a sudden I just know it. I don't know how to describe it other than, and it's not like I'm talking to you guys. I have no idea what's going on in your life. I don't care. So it's not unless I'm holding a tuning fork. If I'm holding a tuning fork and I'm working in your field, then it's like, da, 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 da. Oh.
Wow.
That's kind of how I experience it. And a lot of biofield tuners will experience, different heat or emotions, or sometimes like one thing I will say is I yawn a ton. Like when energy is moving, I just start yawning like crazy. Yeah. And for somebody who's never had a tuning session, they'd be like, wow, is she even awake? But you have to tell them, like, it's just energy moving. It's pretty cool. I also wanted to say that I'll tell you another one. I was like going through the field, and a lot of times I'll encounter something like a wall or some kind of a thing like this tangle. And it felt like it was a marshmallow wall. And this guy wasn't super talkative, which is fine. You can be talkative or not. And I was like, this just feels like a great big marshmallow wall. And this guy's like in his mid-30s maybe, very fit, like a rock climber. And he didn't say anything until the very, very end. And when it was all over, he's like, oh yeah, hey, that marshmallow wall, that was the year that, you know, I had some significant relatives pass away and I had a really rough time and I gained 100 pounds. It's like, oh, that explains the marshmallow wall. He's like, yeah, like I lost it, but it was really hard for me. So I was like, okay. So.
And so are you clearing that energy when you come up against it with the tuning forks? Or
so what we're doing is the theory is that we are creating coherence for the body to release whatever that little tangle is, that little photon. And there's like these tiniest little particles of light called photons. I mean, they actually have weight that theoretically we're releasing. And it's like, this is a magnet. This acts like a magnet when it's going through. You know, did you guys ever play with those toys where it had all the little metal shavings and it's like a bald guy and you got to like move the little magnet over to like drop the hair on the guy and make a beard or whatever? That's kind of what we're doing here, is we're like trying to grab things, and we're like grabbing things and then we're pulling them into the center of the body and letting it kind of drop into, like, say maybe the throat or the heart or the solar plexus. So that's what we're doing. I will also tell you that sometimes the forks have a mind of their own. Like, it's really random. You know, you think you're all done, and occasionally it's happened to me where I'm done, and all of a sudden the fork is going back out into the field on its own, and I'm like, okay, this is wild. It's only happened a few times for me, but when it happens, it's like, I'm just gonna let it happen. And I encountered some kind of a black weird blob one time, and I just waited. And I do ask for higher guidance during the session. I don't believe that I'm doing this on my own, that whatever's happening. So, yeah.
What do you do if you come across the black blob or anything you think might be an entity of some kind? What do you...
Yeah, I would actually tell him to call Tony, quite frankly.
Right.
No, but actually in the case of that particular black blob, the one that like the fork literally was dragged backward, I knew that there must have been an opportunity for clearing or it wouldn't have shown up. So I just waited and waited, and I have multiple kinds of forks, and so I try different forks, and we've even got, you guys use those little 4096 forks or 2096 forks, the little tiny ones.
Oh yeah, the 4096. That's the crystal tuner.
This little tiny crystal tuner.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't you have that one, Cass?
Yeah, I've got that one.
You can like, right on that. Yeah. So you, like, I was using that one because I'm like, we need some help. Angels, come on, let's get going. So that's what I did. Yeah.
I use that one to clear my space too, but I have it in the tuning forks, stuff that I recorded digitally.
Yeah. And these are so nice because they're little, they're great, like before and after you go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, a grocery store is just a place of fear where people are afraid they don't have enough money, or they're afraid of the food, or they're just afraid to be out. There's all kinds of fear going on out in public right now. And this helps to, like, for me, it's like clearing stuff off. I clear my space. If you can't do the smudging with sage or the different ways that people clear their space, smoking them out, this is a good replacement for that.
I love that. You should walk around the grocery store and just bang that at people.
I know. Wouldn't that be nice?
And clear their fear.
Put it on the tannoy.
What did you say?
Put it on the tannoy.
What's a tanneling?
What's a tanneling?
Well, the speaker, like.
Oh, yes. Attention, everyone.
Yeah. Just going to clear your energy for a second. Bear with me.
Okay, so I had the most recent, I think it was the most recent session I had with Tony. I even asked, when I go into these big stores, these retail stores, I can sense like this kind of like frequency that's out there. Have you guys ever noticed that?
It depends which store. There's some I just cannot go in, and others that are okay for me.
My session with Tony, do you remember that, Tony? It was a purposeful frequency put out to generate multiple things. One is like a driven focus on materialism and that kind of fear of missing out kind of mentality, and also to keep everybody in their own silos and be like almost like suspicious or paranoid of like making that kind of close personal contact that you make with people.
Right.
And I even think about, like, think when you're in like a big grocery store or like a big box retailer, how you interact with the other shoppers and the storekeepers versus if you were outside at a farmer's market.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
I don't know. In some of our stores, it's a place where especially older people, should we say, go and meet up. So you literally can't walk down an aisle because there's a group of old people chatting.
Funny.
Not all stores are like that, though. You know, if it's a good store, if there's a gaggle of older people talking, and you're like, "Hello, can I get past, please?"
So cool.
Oh, that's awesome. And those sessions, Angela's sessions, are on my YouTube channel. The first one was, or the one I just posted, was opening the wings of the heart. The other one was breaking through your hall of mirrors. If you want to listen to her sessions, and there's some good tidbits on every one of those.
Yeah.
But we have some questions here, Angela, if you want to answer them.
Sure.
Are energetic adjustments permanent or temporary, or potentially both? And can you distinguish between the two?
I cannot distinguish between the two, but my feeling is, and based on experiences of clients, it can be both. It's not basically the way I would view it is, it's like peeling the layers of an onion. So you're like, yeah, I cleared that. And then you're like, oh, there's another angle to that. I didn't clear that. So that's what I think. I think that you can clear layers of things, but not necessarily until you get done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like probably never.
Feels like it.
Those layers are deep.
And I think the other thing is too, the thing that I've been struggling with, that I've kind of just recently been like, okay, is when you're doing this work, like we expect ourselves to be perfect. It's like, oh, I got angry the other day. Maybe I'm not cut out for doing this. But it's like, oh, well, guess what? We're all kind of like living in this like kind of world. So it's like we all are going to be experiencing a variety of emotions, no matter how much work we do, because that's just the condition of being a human right now.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The other question we have there is, do you couple your fork sessions with any other modality, like other instruments or crystals?
I actually have some crystal tuning bowls that I like to use, mainly to help people really relax. And I just feel like it helps. And also, if I'm in an area that seems like extra sticky and things aren't moving, I just like, go ring the bowls. I should have brought them upstairs, but yeah, I like bowls. That's about all I use. And I use the Soma energetics. Some of the Soma energetics things I kind of incorporate into a biofield tuning session because I think they're very complementary. They're all tuning fork things, but yeah, those are I have a background with pranic healing as well, and I will kind of use some of those kind of concepts with pranic healing in a session as well. Mm-hmm.
So when you're working in a field and you're feeling for those energies, how do you recognize them? Is it I know you said there was like a feeling or sometimes a temperature change.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll just feel it in the fork. The fork, like sometimes you have the fork in the field and it'll feel like all of the sound is being sucked out of the fork. You
Okay.
just like the second you put the fork in there, it's like whoosh, just being sucked up. And it's like the field's almost like, ah, I need that. I'm really thirsty for that coherence. And sometimes you put the fork in the field and it's like, it sounds like it's shouting, or it sounds like depression, or it feels heavy. There's like all these different ways that it sounds or feels when you're doing it. I think there's some other ways. Sometimes I put the fork in the field and then immediately I'm cold. It just feels cold.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, and sometimes the vibration is like when you know something has cleared or you're moving it through, it just sounds really hearty and thrummy, and it just sounds wholesome and good. That's how I know that it's like, oh, okay, it feels good now.
And are you using one tuning fork to check everything, or are you using different forks based on the area of the body you're working on? How does that work?
Well, what I use, there's with Biofield Tuning, there's, what did I do with it? Oh yeah, so they call this one the workhorse of the Biofield Tuning. It's a 174 hertz fork. And so a lot of biofield tuners will usually maybe start with this one. But what I like to do is I actually check in with the pendulum, and I check in and say, like, I have my main or my key forks that I use, which are pretty much of the unweighted. It's just these 4 forks. And 2 of them are the same for Soma Energetics. They're like 417. Some of your listeners have probably heard of the 528. That's like the DNA repair fork. And then the 417, and then the 174, and then this is a fairly new addition for Biofield Tuning. It's the 144. This one is sort of like the jackhammer. if none of this stuff is working, then this one really kind of gets in there and goes. And so I use multiple frequency forks, and it just depends on, I don't know, the longer I do this, sometimes it's just a feeling like, okay, now I'm going to go grab the 528 because we need to brighten things up a little bit here. And 528 it's a really bright and cheerful, you can hear that, versus like this 144. Yeah. And then the 417 is kind of like, I think the 417 is more of like a calming. Yeah. So when you listen to the forks also, and even if you have a tuning fork, I would recommend that you don't just listen with your ears, but just imagine like breathing it in. Like, what would it feel like if I breathe this sound into my body? Or what if I just feel the vibration on my arm? Like, imagine if your arm could feel the vibration. How would your arm respond to it? Or how would different parts of your body respond to it? And that alone kind of creates that mindfulness and awareness and helps with clearing yourself, and also to bring your mind out of that chatter mental stuff and then more down into that heart space. Because that's what we're really trying to do, right? Trying to get out of our minds and get more into our heart. I also, one other thing? I also want to say Biofield Tuning has, you can do other things with it. You can tune your pets. You can tune horses or cats or dogs or really anything. And you can also tune projects. I don't know, let's just say I don't know, Tony, you got cows, you got your watering system for your yeah, so you could, like, if you were trying to figure out something with your watering system and it was kind of stuck, you could actually tune your watering system.
Wow.
And then it would open up more possibilities. It helps you to open up more possibilities for how to repair it or what would be the right things to source to make it exactly what you need it to be.
How would you do that?
We needed to do that this morning.
Sorry.
What are the steps to tuning things like that?
So there's different things you can do. You can start off with a glass of water and take a little sip of the water beforehand and set your intention of what the water represents to you. And then you just come at 4 angles, the four directions, but you don't have to be like anal retentive about it. It's just like, okay, I'm going to say this is north, and then I'm going to go clockwise at the 4 directions. So I could do north, east, south, west. And then you just kind of start, maybe 5 feet out, or if you just want to sit at a desk, just as far as your arm goes, and just slowly work your way in and wait for that kind of, you feel like this tension in that you feel it, and you just wait. And a lot of times this ding, like an idea comes to your mind of like, oh, here's the problem. Here's what I've not been doing. Here's the bad energy. And then you kind of rotate that glass of water, and then you come on the next side, and then you rotate it till you do all 4 sides. In between, after you kind of come in to it, you column. And a column is just where you go. Let's just say this is the water. It's when you're going straight up as high as you can reach. And you're connecting the edge of that field to universal light and consciousness, the edge of the field to now. So you're out of the past and you're out of the future worries. You're just like connecting into now, because that's all we ever have, right? Is now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then when you're all done going in and columning, then you drink the water. And that's how you can tune a project or a thing. So, but you can't.
You're just setting the intention to tune the project before you start with that clearing process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing you can't do is you can't tune other people.
Man.
You can tune because you're not basically, you're not interfering in people's free will, right? No matter how much we like to tune somebody.
Yeah.
But you can tune your relationship to that person.
Mm.
And like that is very, very telling, because it's like, whoops, sorry. Like you kind of find out about a lot of the things that you're like, those kind of crunchy moments where you're like, oh, I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm not sure I like myself as much as I thought I did. When you're tuning your relationships with other people, you learn a lot about yourself and how you respond. So
how would you do that? The same approach to the water, or?
That's how I do it. I know there's like this thing in between, but that's how I do it. I just use the same approach with the water. And you can also use an object if you don't have a glass of water. This is a mahogany seed, and I love the mahogany seed because the mahogany trees are spectacular, but this is the coolest thing ever. I don't know if you can see that.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, and I love using this because this to me represents that pure potential and possibility of something extraordinary. Yeah. So I use that a lot for, that's my stand-in for things a lot.
And so when you're bringing it in and you find that sort of resistant point, you're just simply holding the fork there and allowing anything to come in that you need into your awareness.
Yeah, or you're just wait. You don't even have to wait for anything to come in. I'm just waiting for it to clear. I'm just holding space for it and just allowing it. Like I could be thinking of nothing. I don't have to have a story. We don't have to have stories. That's the other nice thing is a lot of things people require, the client to be talking, and you could just not say it, and you could say not a single word throughout the entire session. I could say nothing and just bing, 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 just kind of go through the field very, very slowly, drop into the center line of the body, calm out without any talking, because no talking is required. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Can you talk a bit about your sessions that you've had, Tony, with Angela?
Oh yeah, well, let's talk about. You're talking about the sessions I've had with Tony.
Oh,
right?
I thought Tony had Biofield Tuning with you. No.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. And Angela did that remote, so it was over Zoom.
How does that work when you're doing it remotely?
So how that works is, if let's just say, bring your awareness to your foot, and now bring your awareness to your left hand. And when you did that, did you go through your body, or did you just kind of bounce from your foot to your hand?
I think I bounced.
Yeah,
I bounced, yeah.
Yeah, we bounce. We don't go in this line, and so you don't need the body to be in the same room. It's part of the ether. It's part of the holographic nature of everything and the light of everything. So if you put your hologram or your intention that you're going to be on somebody's table, it's there. And in fact, that's what happened with Eileen McCusick, who is the founder of Biofield Tuning. There's this colleague or friend of hers And he kept on insisting she could do this. And she was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. And so he asked her to do a session on him remotely. And then they found out that there was virtually no difference in the experience and in the outcomes. So it's all part of the ether and the basically the hologram of life and the light.
That's what I wanted to know from Tony. What did you experience in your session?
It was a while ago. I mean, I definitely, you could feel, I felt better, felt lighter. But it's been a while ago now. It's hard for me to remember.
I will say that most of the time the work is very subtle and sometimes very dramatic. And usually you need 3 sessions before you're, like, let's just say you have a specific problem you're trying to address. I would recommend, and everyone recommends, that you get 3 sessions because the sessions build on themselves. And then once you've had 3 sessions, then you could kind of reassess and say, is this helping my issue or is it not really? And if it's not, then maybe go try some other kind of modality or something else. But if it is, then you know you're on the right track to keep working on stuff. Sometimes people have very dramatic responses, like the lady who had the 2-year-old beautiful child thing. That was a very, very dramatic experience and quite life-changing for her just after 1 session. But a lot of times people just walk away saying, you know what, I'm actually a little nicer to myself, or my dreams are a little bit more clear and vivid, or I just feel better. I just feel like I've got a little bit more light. So
does anyone have a major emotional release when you're doing that work? Does it like physical releases?
Yeah, there can be the release. Often people are crying just to release things, and it is kind of like always to me a surprise, but because I don't want to be too heavy with this, but there are a lot of heavy things going on in the world, and so yeah, people do have releases, and sometimes they have like kind of healing experiences where they may be like, especially if you're getting an adrenal reset, there's a specific type of technique called an adrenal rhythm reset. And because our adrenals are sitting on top of our kidneys and they're like, because we're stressed out, and that helps to recalibrate and rebalance those adrenals. And often the times when our adrenals are like really, really wound up, they need to slow down, and it causes us to be tired. For a few days, like 1 to 3 days, you might just be like, when somebody gave me an adrenal rhythm reset, just one, I think I felt like I needed to sleep for 3 days after that. But then I felt much better, you kind of get through it. Some people get nausea, very, very rare. It's very rare, but you might get nauseous, or you just might feel kind of tired, or maybe you're going to cry, maybe, or something. Basically what it is, it's those emotions that you were holding back are the emotions that you're able to finally recognize and release, which is sort of like, it's better to get through it than to like ignore it, then you can move forward. And instead of these things holding these emotional charges, they just become memories that you're like powerful to stand against or stand beside. Instead of the trauma associated with it, it becomes like your light just gets bigger, and your problems become like this, and you're better able to like deal with them. That's what my experience.
Because you can see it from a different perspective, right?
Yeah. And I will say too that people do feel, I don't know, it's just like a kind of a light. And I think that's also with the work that you guys do. There's something about that, the work just creates more light. It brings more light back to the person.
It creates more space.
It does.
For the light.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've had a few sessions with Tony. Do you want to talk about how those went?
I love those sessions. Yeah, they're fantastic. I really love this. I would say the clearing of the entities is shocking. That's always like kind of, they're kind of funny. But, and I know the thing that you're when you're in this, and I know you guys know this, but there's no way you can be making that stuff up. You just can't make it up. But I would say, like the one that we all have these family members that are still sleepy, and they still have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, was asking Tony in my session about a particular family member, and I was like, when's he gonna wake up? When's he gonna wake up? And my higher self was basically said, he's like a boulder and he's unmovable because you can't move a boulder. And so all the flow is going around this boulder in the stream, going around. But once the boulder moves, it's going to be unstoppable. Oh. And so we just need to let the boulder stay there, and the boulder will be moved on its own. And that was unbelievable for me, because that gave me like that it's okay. And also that same session, Tony, I think one of the things that my higher self, I think I wrote it down, just a second, let me was let me look here. Was about the how one of my purposes was letting my family members just live their own life, and like I'm not going to make their life better. And if I try to make it better, I'm taking away from their soul experience. Yeah. So
it's nice to have that different perspective, isn't it? When we feel so responsible for trying to get people to wake up, but it's really their soul's journey.
Yeah, I'm going to read this. It was to assist humanity. It's like, why am I here? And part of the answer was to assist humanity in remembering their voice. She came here to reinforce the already learned lessons of allowing the others whom she loves to experience life in their fullest theater without interrupting, to make the life better. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. There's other great things that also that when I had to get a hysterectomy back in 2016, and we learned that when I had that, a lot of light was scrambled during the process, because after all, she was in the hospital, which is run by the dark energies. So they just had to like lighten that energy up to create more flow. And I thought that was pretty wild.
That's nice.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I just even think, Tony, I love the part about like the May 10th one, the one that you just posted, about like my higher self was a man and he was flying home in the Atlantis time. Yep. And he didn't make it home because of this dark energy that just more or less went over top of everything. And he was like, yeah, everything you've ever learned about Atlantis or what might have happened is basically a lie, because people told you the wrong thing. And I'm like, well, of course we were told the wrong thing. Of course it was a lie, because isn't everything a lie?
Oh, lies. Yeah. Yeah.
There were similarities to what happened in those times as opposed to these times, and how it's being corrected now, because most of us, there was an aspect of us back in those times, and we're trying to correct it now so it don't happen again.
Yeah.
And a lot of that too.
Have you gotten those? Because there was a lot of it, like people knew there were things wrong going on, but they didn't want to be the ones that stood out because they knew that they would have to basically pay the price for standing out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, but I'm starting to see a lot coming forward about just the times where we're mirroring certain times, like we're here, but then it's also connected to certain times, biblical times, but then also connected to certain Atlantean times. So it's almost like we're at these kind of points. It's really interesting, but yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
Well, it's just like forks in the road. We're at those forks in the road where we chose the one way back that time. Now we're going to do it different this time.
Yeah. Another piece that was from that session, though, was to recognize that each one of us has our gifts, and we need to be leaning on one another for the gifts we have brought, because everyone has so many special talents that are unique to us. And part of the problem of so many generations is when one person or another views themselves as the stronger or the more advanced one. But each person's talents must be viewed as not equally in the sense of equality that like our society likes to talk about, but when judgment, where we place judgment on one another. And when we place judgment, it takes away from the wealth and the bounty and contribution that each person can offer the group. So we're trying to move away from judgment so that each person is free to demonstrate what they can actually do. And that's huge.
Judgment is huge. Yeah.
And then the most recent one that you did with me, Tony, was that Hall of Mirrors. Mm-hmm. And that was cool. We were talking about how when you go into a fun house, well, it's like humanity's lost their way and lost their path. And it was similar to how when we go into a fun house and we see the reflection of ourselves in the mirror and we think it's real, and we've just gotten so far deeply in this crazy house of mirrors that we forget like that we're lost and we're not even connected, and that we're viewing as this reality. I mean, that was like really amazing to me. Like when you guys do these sessions and we're able to connect with our this higher frequency aspect of ourself, it's amazing, because it's like, wow. Like, we're pretty awesome.
Yeah. We've just forgotten it, haven't we?
I kind of liken it to a retraining, basically. So we're helping people to remember how to make those connections, how to get into that place where the body can heal, how to get that energy flowing. So we're basically just retraining with our sessions, trying to help people to be able to get back to what we used to be able to do.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You guys, it's amazing.
The one of your sessions that stands out is the one where you're talking about the body and how the body is and I use it all the time now, how the body is basically a separate entity of us, that we work in conjunction with it. It has allowed us to meld with it, to, share consciousness, to be able to function in this lifetime, but it's completely separate. And you're supposed to treat your body as if it's your best friend, because it really is. And tuning into the body and finding out what it needs, and talking to it,
and your biofield,
which
is a big part of your body.
It's so true. Yeah, that section on your body was really important to me, because I've spent I don't know how many, maybe it's just my generation, but there's so much negative judgmental talk about like what I should be, how I'm supposed to look, and this kind of shortcoming and that kind of shortcoming. But it's like, oh, wait a minute. It's not even me. It's me, but it's not me. It's like this, like you said, this body is a separate thing. And then in that recording too, and I've been kind of this past year, it's been a big change. I've been like, used to be a hardcore, like, be very careful about everything I ate and make sure it was all like plant-based. And, I was like really kind of crazy, like no added oil, no added sugar, no added salt, only plant-based, had to have a lot of fiber, blah, blah, blah. And my higher self even was like, yeah, she thought that was really important, but that's really not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to check in. What does your body need on a daily meal basis? Like instead of all these like human rules and all these like mental constructs and all these little, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do this and you have to do that. And it's not true. And I can say that because I was one of those hardcore people that wouldn't even go to a restaurant because I was so worried that I was going to do something wrong.
What? Oh no, that's my worst nightmare.
No, I wasn't an a-hole about it.
Out.
Oh,
No. I wasn't an a-hole about it because nobody else in my family ate that way. So I would still make people's meals. So I wasn't like passing the judgment on people.
Oh, food is like my favorite thing about this place.
Food is my favorite thing too. I
agree.
Yeah. I could like eat until, if I could just like Need to do another session and find out.
I'm like, what? You didn't go to restaurants? No.
Like if we did, I would be like, I'm just getting the plain salad, no dressing, please.
Oh, no.
I don't do that anymore.
I think especially like it's getting cold here in the UK, and I just feel like I need to eat. Like my body needs that extra layer of fat this time of year, right?
Yeah.
So I'm listening to my body and it's just saying, I think you're hungry again. I think you're hungry again.
Yeah.
My jeans are like, you're actually not that hungry if you really don't want to go to the store and buy another pair of jeans. Maybe dial it back a little bit, okay? I know you're like eating foods you haven't eaten in 20 years, but come on, give us a break.
Oh, that's so good.
There's some questions in the chat. There's one, let's see, it says, I was told in my hypnosis that I will be able to tune in to my kids' energetic field to help them, but I am just learning to feel energy starting with my own. Do you have any tips to feel those energies?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, first of all, the first thing I would say is I go back to, even if it's your kids, it's not your business unless they give you permission. That's the first thing I would say. I mean, to have respect for that, even if they're your kids. But for tuning in, I would just personally, I would say move into your heart space. So really, really grounding yourself. And by grounding, I mean like imagine that you are sinking your energy into the earth by creating a cord or roots or whatever you want to do, and really bringing yourself to a place of like where you're in your heart space, which is, you close your eye. I would recommend closing your eyes and just breathing as though you were breathing in and out of your heart space. And then moving your awareness from your heart and sending almost like a line from your heart to your child's heart. And then feeling into the space from there. And really not being in your mind, just really being present with no expectations of what you're going to find or the way it's supposed to be or any of the stories that you'd like to have. And really just being in a place of presence and attention. That's what I would recommend, to do that, to feel into someone else's space, is to connect in via the heart center and just sit quietly with some presence.
And importantly, I think just not having any expectations of how that's going to go. That might take you, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 tries.
Yeah, it's not going to be like instantaneous, but I agree with you. Yeah, Kaz, I think just being present and just kind of being aware of that, of anything, just kind of sitting there and kind of, just in that heart space. I think that's the best place. That's the best way to start. Reaching out from your heart space to the person, or to your child.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Tony, you want to ask those other questions?
Yeah. So then, as a diagnostic tool, are you able to use frequencies to zero in on or identify specific areas for healing?
So what I use is a pendulum. And so part of the Biofield Tuning process is you use the pendulum. You start at the feet and you just kind of wait. And, if it's, depending on if it stays as a circle, it's good. If it turns into a line, it means there's something to be addressed. And then I move up to the knees, and then we do the root and the sacral and keep going up. That's the diagnostic tool that I use. And let's just say it's at the foot, the feet. Then I would say, is it the left foot or is it the right foot? And then say, okay, it's the right foot, and then move in from there on that side. Did that answer the question? I think it did.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then, you want to ask the next one there, Kaz? You got that one?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll do it then.
Go for it.
Or Heather can. Go ahead, Heather.
I've lost my spot. You go ahead.
Okay. How can someone be sensitive to energies but not actively feel it?
There we go.
Well, it depends on what you mean by feel, because sometimes you can be sensitive by having an emotion Or sometimes you can be sensitive and feel temperature changes. Or sometimes you might feel like maybe you feel kind of queasy in your stomach, or maybe you feel warmth in your heart. Or maybe you don't feel anything at all because you think, oh my gosh, that person's better than me and I haven't gotten there yet. But maybe you're never supposed to be there. Maybe that wasn't your gift. Maybe your gift is to feel, maybe you're supposed to, maybe something pops in your mind, like new ideas or fresh insights or inspiration. So everybody receives it in a different way. But when you start blocking yourself and judging or comparing yourself is when you get stuck. So just being in a place of curiosity with your body, your awareness, and all of your perceptions. And maybe you even hear something. Maybe you smell something. Like there could be anything. It could be any of your senses or any parts of your body that could bring awareness to you, and not try to make it more than what it is. Maybe your left knee itches, and maybe that means something,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could be subtle.
Yeah, subtle.
I think that's another question there, isn't it, Heather? There's another one. It's not in caps.
So are you talking about Joe's?
Yeah, Joe's question.
Joe is asking, how can you tell if friends who passed over or died are trying to contact you or get your attention? I don't know if you can do that with the forks, or can you?
Well, I will say that outside, there are, and I do get some things occasionally, sporadically. I don't know if I'm skilled enough right now to do that, but I know there are very highly skilled biofield tuners who will say that they do get information. There's also people who specialize in things like the Akashic records, but if somebody was looking for information, sometimes it just pops up. It's not like, oh, well, I'm going to wait for Uncle Joe to talk to me. It's like if Uncle Joe shows up, Uncle Joe shows up, but it's really not about Uncle Joe. It's about the person experiencing something that they need to experience for their own healing process, not just to kind of have a communication with Uncle Joe. So like if you had some kind of a tangle in your field related to some ancestral thing, then it could pop up, but maybe Uncle Joe is like, hey, I had that problem too, because it goes back 7 generations. And then it's like, okay, we're going to clear this also. And Uncle Joe gets the clearing as well. It's kind of how it could happen. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think so.
Any more?
No, I don't see any more. I was trying to read there. I don't think there is any more there, is there, Heather?
No, I don't think any more questions, just some comments.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think.
So how did you learn to do this, Angela? What kind of training did you take?
So I did the Soma Energetics trainings first, and that's the one with David Hulse. And then after that, Biofield Tuning has 2 sets of training. One is called foundational training, and that's either a 6-week program or a 2 3-day weekends condensed training. And then after the foundational work, plus all the homework, plus all of the practice sessions, the next thing you do is go to practitioner training. And you can take that practitioner training. I think it's basically the same kind of a format. And after you do that, then you can do the Biofield Tuning as a practitioner. Once you've taken those foundational and practitioner. After you do the practitioner training, then there are more trainings that you can take. Like I did the advanced training this June. And that just gives you more practice and some different kind of techniques to learn, which have been pretty powerful. So that's how that works. If you are interested in the Soma Energetics, they have some at-home study courses as well as the opportunity to learn in person. And so those are pretty awesome. And then you can also take teacher training with Soma Energetics as well after you get through all of they call their work phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you take, Tony? Didn't you take one of those?
I didn't finish phase 2. I did phase 1. I didn't finish phase 2, but and in the description of this video has those links to Soma Energetics and Biofield Tuning too. So if you guys want to look into that more.
And the other thing that Biofield Tuning has is they have a practitioner directory. So regardless of where you live in the world, you can click on the map or click on the country and find a Biofield Tuning practitioner near you. Or you can do virtually with anybody. Most Biofield Tuning practitioners provide virtual sessions as well.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Joe has another question there. How do the different sounds heal the different vibrations?
So I don't know how they heal the different vibrations, other than that I know that if I'm working with, let's just say I've got the 417 fork in the field and it's just not cutting it, it's just not working. It's sort of like, the one thing I will say to Joe is it's kind of like sandpaper. The lower frequency forks or the weighted forks are like the coarse sandpaper. And so that might get something big, but it might totally miss something that's a little bit more subtle and refined. And so then you would want to move up to maybe a non-weighted fork. And maybe this one is still a little bit too rough, too rough of a sandpaper kind of thing. And then maybe I would want to move up to this one next, or maybe this one. And so just kind of moving up in frequency will help to catch some of those finer things in the field. Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's a great analogy. I didn't know that, the sandpaper one,
Yeah, that's yeah, that's kind of the way they kind of talk about it. But sometimes you don't need that rough sandpaper, and you can just and then also you can go even in a virtual session. I have a massage table, and I have basically a body on the massage table. It's basically a cloth that's got an outline of a body with the different chakras, and I put chakra stones. But let's just say I'm in the field and something is just stuck and it's not moving and it feels heavy. I can actually go to the body with a weighted fork and then place it, maybe right there or wherever it needs to go on the body. And that also helps to move the energy. And then once it clears, then you can go back out where I was, like I'm out here, and I can start back out there again. And then invariably it'll clear much quicker, or it'll already be cleared.
Wow, fascinating.
I know, right?
Love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I guess to expand on that question though too, each one of your chakra centers has a frequency too. So that might be, that helps that energy center to balance. The root is the 396, the sacral is 417. And Angela had said that, the sacral kind of gives you that good feeling. Well, the sacral is your creativity, your joy, your sensuality.
Yep, sorry. These are, so this follows the Soma Energetics model, and these are the Soma Energetics forks, and they are actually, as Tony said, this is like for the sacral, and that's the 417, and this is the solar plexus, and it's gold, just like the solar plexus, and that's 528, and this green one is the heart, and then the blue one is for the throat, and this is the third eye. And if you were doing all of these together, plus, that's the root. If you're doing all of these together, that's the crown. All of them at the same time. Mm-hmm.
See, I love the sound of wind chimes. Do you ever use those kind of sounds, or would that be kind of using all of them together?
I actually have a koshi. Have you heard of a koshi chime?
No. Is it a wind chime? Because I love
wind
chimes.
It's made in the foothills of the mountains in France, and it's this little cylinder, and it sounds like a child's toy, but it's like really cool chime.
I'm going to have to look that up. You spell that with a K.
Yeah, Koshi. They just sound like you feel like you're in childhood and in the stars all at the same time. It's so amazing.
I need one.
Yeah, you do. You do. They're really cool.
And do you ever use, maybe, I know you're talking about tuning forks, do you ever use like nature sounds or?
I don't use nature sounds, although I have plenty of friends who do this kind of sound work where they have incorporated many, many different types of sounds, including nature sounds. I know I've got a friend, she's actually here in Cincinnati. She does biofield tuning, but she's also been to Bali and been all over the world where she's learned different types of sound healing modalities, and she brought all the toys back with her. So if she's getting like a sound bath, you just feel like you're in the middle of a forest because she's got so many cool things.
That would be lovely.
I know.
To enjoy a sound bath. Yeah.
Yeah. Her name is Sally O'Hearn. She's in the Biofield Tuning practitioner directory if anyone's interested. So
nice.
And also in Europe, I mean, there's Biofield Tuning. Jolanta Dubkaska, she is in the Netherlands, and she does all kinds of healing work and sound things as well. So if you're in Europe or in Netherlands and want to check out a sound person over there, that's a person to maybe call.
Making notes.
Yeah. Lovely.
You made notes.
Koshi and Yolanta.
Yeah.
So,
any more questions? Sorry.
I was just going to ask real quick because we coming up on time, but why can we not use the tuning forks or Biofield Tuning to remove entities? What's her reason for that?
Because we're not, I mean, maybe she can, maybe Eileen can. I don't even know if Eileen can, because you can really get yourself into trouble really quickly. If you think you're removing something and then what it really happens is it maybe, my understanding is, first of all, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But this is my own personal opinion. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but what if you think you're removing, but they're not really removing, and then all they're doing is going somewhere else in the body and getting themselves even more entrenched in the body somewhere else in a sneakier hiding place. And then it causes physical pain that you weren't expecting or some kind of physical harm. That would be my number one. And also, what if you removed it, but then you didn't have the right protection for yourself and you removed it right on top of yourself? Yeah. Like, I'm not qualified to do that. Like, I love you, but I'm not doing that for you. I do not have the training.
So then you call one of us to get her
That's
done.
why we call you guys. You guys are like the entity removal people. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's why you guys are here. And that's why this is so nice and complimentary, because if somebody's just looking for stress relief or having some clarity, but they don't necessarily, they've done plenty of your sessions and they just want like a Biofield Tuning session, it's like, oh, it's very complimentary and it really helps to further along. Or maybe they've got a great information from a session of like, hey, dial it back on the chocolate or something. I don't know. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe I could get a Biofield Tuning session to help me kind of be in a better state of mental clarity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all play.
How can people find you? Sorry, Kat.
Oh yeah,
find you to get a session if they'd like.
So it's in the show notes, but it's soundtruthllc.com, and LLC stands for Light, Love, and Connection.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm changing the rules, Tony.
Yeah, perfect.
In America, when we do like a small business, we say limited liability corporation, and I couldn't get the URL for soundtruth.com, so I was like, okay, I'll just do my company name, but it's Light, Love, and Connection. So
I love that.
That's pretty good. I didn't even know that myself, I don't think. I thought it actually meant limited liability company. But
yeah, well, it could, but I decided to just change the rules a little. I'm tired of the rules. I'm tired of the rules that they've given us, right?
Yeah.
We are too.
To help create.
Time to rewrite them.
Yeah.
And what kind of sessions do you offer? Is it just one type of session, or do you have?
So right now I offer a discovery session, which is $25, but it's for half an hour. That's if you kind of want to figure it out, but you're not really sure you want a whole hour session. And then I do basically a standard Biofield Tuning session, and that's generally an hour. If it's a first time session, it might go over to maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And normally, depending on what you do, you could try one session, but typically if you're looking for any type of consistency or really trying to tackle something, we recommend you get 3 sessions and then reevaluate to see if it's the right path for you. So
nice.
Yeah. And also, I just want to mention that there are plenty of group online group biofield tuning sessions as well. You can go to Biofield Tuning. I think Eileen McCusick, she's on YouTube. She gives some. There are some people that do group. I've got 1 or 2 on my website, on my YouTube channel, where you could, if you just want to experience a biofield tuning without doing a personal session, or you can just listen to a group session online.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of cool.
I think everyone should check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot on there. I think I got like 3 things on there. I should probably do better.
Yeah, I didn't even put it in the description because
I didn't think I gave it. I don't even know if I gave it to you. But there is actually a fun tuning on there though, to just experience biofield tuning. Maybe I can put that in the comments afterward.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So how's that? The group sessions, is it just be like a guided meditation kind of thing?
Yeah.
Or
it's basically the same. It's similar to a private session, except for you're not going to get that one-on-one kind of specialized work just for you, but you can still release things and you can still kind of get into a place of calmness and kind of peace with yourself. But it is kind of like a meditation, but a little different. Kind of like you just have to listen to it to kind of experience, but basically it's a group session. And we also set the intention that anyone who listens to it at any time would get the benefit, and there's also no energetic backwash. So if somebody's releasing a bunch of stuff and you listen to it later, you're not going to catch somebody's stuff.
Energetic backwash.
oh, that's funny.
New way of looking at it.
That's funny. I just like how all the modalities just kind of work together, and you even talked about it in your one session about how everybody's gifts just complement each other.
Yeah, they really do. And also that, like, everybody that's listening, no matter where we are in our life's journey, like, nobody's in the wrong place. That's what I love. Like, I used to be like, oh my gosh, that person's over there and they're doing that thing, and what's wrong with me? I can't do that. And it's like, well, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, it takes a while to figure that one out, doesn't it?
It does.
That comes with age.
It does. Or now the thing I struggle with is like, why are people like, I think we said that earlier, like, why are people doing things the way I want them to do it? We'd be out of this mess if people could just stop being so dang bah.
I don't think any of us have that figured out.
I know.
I guess it's frustrating. It is. But I mean, can you compare to before you even started this work to now, how you feel and how your outlook on life and things?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's actually why I decided to do this for business, is because I've had so many really profound changes in my outlook and my perspective and my calmness, and not feeling quite so wound up, and just feeling less anxiety, less stress, just really feeling a lot more kind of in my body and more present. And that's to me really the reason why I like it so much, because I just feel like I'm helping people get to where they want to go with those same kind of goals. They're really simple goals, but they're really life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there any other questions or anything? Anybody
I think we got all the questions in the chat. Yeah,
anything
all answered beautifully.
Any final comments, Angela?
No, I love talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
This was fun.
It's been amazing. Yeah, thank you for all the effort you put into your presentation and coming on the Tuesday talks.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I learned a lot today.
I always listen to your Tuesday talks, but I never really participate because I'm usually like walking or something, so I'm not like a chatter.
Yeah. Well, that presentation was the first for our Tuesday talks. I don't think we've done that before.
That was excellent.
Ooh, yay!
Might have to utilize that some more time.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It's kind of helps people to use more of their senses to kind of grasp onto things.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
More visual.
Angela, thank you so much.
I do want to say one more thing is Eileen McCusick, she has 2 books, but the first one that she wrote is Tuning the Human Biofield. So if you're really more interested in the science of everything, you can dive into that book.
I've read that one and it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I want to say, what's the second one off the top of your head? Do you know?
Electric Body, Electric Health.
I don't think I got that one. I think I stopped at the first one.
That's the Tuning the Human
That's
Body.
one I've read. Yeah.
And then this is Electric Body, Electric Health.
No, I didn't make it to that one.
And there's so many people with their things. The original guy was John Bayou. He does human tuning. But and then David Hulse from Soma Energetics, he wrote this book, A Fork in the Road.
I've read that one.
Yeah.
And then you had one in your presentation by Richard.
Oh yeah,
Gerber.
Richard Gerber. So Richard Gerber, but that's just about like energy healing in general.
Right.
And that's like an encyclopedia.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's like amazing.
So it's more like a reference book or something.
It's like if you really want to deep dive into it. Although I will say that he has a spectacular talk. I think it's about 2 hours long on Audible, where he more or less summarizes the whole book in about 2 hours, and it's fabulous.
That sounds perfect.
Wait, what's his name again?
It was Vibrational Medicine.
Vibrational Medicine by Richard Gerber.
Richard Gerber.
Yeah.
Audible. I might check that out.
And then even this is a book that the Soma people use with weighted tuning forks. If you've ever heard about acupressure, where you're using your pressure instead of needles for acupuncture, but you can use tuning forks in lieu of pressure as the pressure points for different things too. So
Nice.
those are some references for people if you want to dive in a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel inspired.
Well, let's really add to their libraries here now. What was that book that you showed me just before? I think even Heather and Kaz came on.
Oh yeah. What did I do with that? Okay, just a minute. I got it. Here. Hold on. I put my microphone under it because I didn't want to sound like I was in a fishbowl. You're gonna like this one. This one's called Entity Possession by Samuel Sagan.
The energy. Nice.
That one is, I just finished reading it. It's really mind-blowing, really cool book. Especially for your viewers who are interested in that topic and have had experience with it. So, yeah.
Lots to read.
Yes.
I always get all these books and then I never get around to read them.
I do too.
Or like I start reading one and then all of a sudden I'm reading 4 books at the same time.
Yes. Yes. And then you don't go back and finish them, or at least I don't go back and finish them.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, this book was absolutely mesmerizing because I read this in like 3 days and I couldn't believe that I actually read it. I was like, oh my gosh, I read a book.
Right. I'm going to write that one down again. What's the name?
Entity Possession by Samuel Sagan.
Sagan. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need something else to do. Like I need a hole in my head right now, but I'm going to write them down.
I need to put the books back in the loo and just leave the phone outside the bathroom when I go in it. And maybe I'll get a lot more reading done.
You have to do Audible if you can. I mean, I can listen to that while I'm doing some house cleaning.
Yeah, or going for a nice walk or something. Yeah.
I know for a fact this Tuning the Human Biofield is on Audible. And I think even David Hulse's book, I think that one is also recorded. So those are definitely recorded.
Mm-hmm. I think I listened to that one on Audible, but I actually have a book too.
Yeah.
So
nice.
That's been awesome.
Thank you so much.
I know.
Thank you, Angela.
Excellent. Wonderful.
It was a lot of fun.
So much good information.
And thank you guys for all the work you guys do. It's like incredible.
Oh,
you guys are changing people's lives. It's so cool.
You as well.
And
you are too.
Yeah. We're all working together.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Okay.
It's awesome. We love you all. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody, for watching. Thanks for watching. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.
See ya.